goodness. Oh my goodness. Team No
What's
Sleep
happening,
is
man?
in the building. How you living, brother?
Man, I'm live, brother, man. Like I said, always blessed. Always blessed. Got 10 toes down, ready to rock and roll.
I heard that. You know what? Put that on a T-shirt. I know someone who can probably do that too. But let me stay focused here, right? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We see the bishop is in the building. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate the bishop for jumping in. Folks, we got a great show tonight. We always have a great show, right? Me and my man Montel always come to you Thursday night, 6:00 p.m. on the Pacific side. What is it, 9 on the East Coast where our guest is? Man, it's a little late.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's drinking coffee or he's drinking
the basketball. They still watching hoop on there. The basketball
true.
games are still on, so they all good. They okay.
That's
on
true.
the East Coast.
That's true. We got some stories to break down. We're going to talk about the social impact of sports. We're not just going to talk about the scores and the standings. So let's go ahead. First of all, let's just go and get into it, man. What you got? You doing all right? Like you said, new week. You feeling okay?
Man, just like I said, blessed, man. Just ready to touch ground on some new things. Just discuss some things that's going on in sports. Is definitely hot and socially impacting my community, your community, the youth, and so on and so on.
Let's go, brother. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's bring in our special guest because we got a lot of topics, and I want to make sure that we get his perspective as well and allow him to introduce himself. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello. Say what's going on. Andrew
what is
Nixon
going on?
is in the building. Oh my God! Let me get a screenshot. I didn't even get a chance to take a screenshot. I got these champions online here. look at him with his club pose too. With his
he got scared everything.
Club pose.
You know how to hold it too, right? Like, wait a minute, you still there?
Right. You gotta hold it.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's not just holding it too. You have to hold your breath. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hold your breath just for about 5 seconds.
See, he old school. He better
hold it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Definitely, brother. Appreciate you. Let me go ahead and get focused and let folks know why you are here. You're here for a number of reasons. First and foremost, as the co-proprietor, 50%, the man behind the scenes, yes, of Press and Soul, the fantastic, I don't want to say merchandise, swag, everything, right? Just collateral,
everything,
creator,
everything, promotional products. I mean, the whole nine. We got you covered.
Okay, and I have been blessed and fortunate enough to partner with you and your wife. So we've got a site going with you. So appreciate that. Launch week went phenomenal. We got some things that are coming out in the next couple of months as well. But thank you for that. But tonight we're gonna talk sports, and somebody you got me on. You got some speakers, you got some echo going on, brother. What's going on?
You know what? I think I'm gonna I can put my ears in.
Yeah, but
yeah,
you over there using
Sylvia's
machine and you messing up with the echo, man.
You know, I had it earlier. I was like, let me go ahead and get it set up really quick.
I tell you what, while you put those on, I'm gonna let folks watch these videos so they can understand who this man is and why we're bringing him online. So check this out, folks.
My name is Andrew. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. Now I live in Jacksonville. I play cymbals on the D-line. I'm a co-director for the Jacksonville Jaguars D-line.
Shouts out to the
and I've
D-line,
been on the line for 17 years. Actually, I've been drumming. I've been playing around with it for a long time. I don't want to tell my age, but one of those music TV shows, my cousin actually had a drum set, one of those solid gold drum sets. So I was one of those kids that used to beat on the lunchroom tables, and I used to always beat on stuff, but piano was really my instrument. But I really got into percussion my 11th grade year in high school. So my first year of high school band, I actually did drum corps as well. The first drum corps I started with was Sunco Sound. Again, not telling my age. Sunco Sound out of Tampa. And that same year, our corps folded and we moved on to Spirit of Atlanta. So I marched several years there, did about 5 or 6 years with Spirit. And I actually started teaching. The first drum corps I taught with was Teal Sound. Moved on to Kiwanis Cavaliers and so on and so forth. Tampa Bay Thunder. Went back to Spirit. I would absolutely say my favorite Jaguars player would be Fred Taylor. not just only getting the opportunity to meet him personally, but he's always been a pretty stand-up guy. So my favorite part of the game is when we actually track. It's called tracking. We actually track around the main concourse, and that's the area where everyone's getting their food and their beverages. And that's usually happening at the first quarter. At that point, we've done the national anthem. They've done the initial first kickoff, and we get up there, and it's at the beginning part of the game where it's kind of letting everyone know that the game is getting started officially. So that's kind of been our game day, official thing that we do every game to let everyone know that we're getting the game started. Favorite D-line memory is our first trip to London. It has a lot of personal, sentimental value to me. Well, I actually have family in London, so this gave me the opportunity to meet my cousins, and for years now I've been able to see them every year. It's been kind of a traditional thing. So when we found out that we were going to London, just that first trip, that anticipation of, number one, going to another country to represent our team, but the fact that I got to meet my cousins, and they become, he's become friends with the D-line, so he's a friend to everyone. But I just, that first trip was amazing. What I like most about the D-line is us performing together. I love connecting with the fan base, with the crowd. I like signaling out fans and making them smile. And I just love our energy together. The guys are great, man. It's like a brotherhood. I've been doing this for so long, for 17 years. Again, not telling my age, but 17 years with some guys have been riding with us from day one. It's amazing. I just really love the brotherhood, the friendship that we've been able to develop. Man, I tell you what, the guys that have stayed in the D-line, man, hats off to you. I can name a few. Sione, T-Mac, Emil,
give me shouts out now.
Herc, Bond Scott, can't forget about Bond. Those guys have been with us from day one. I mean, we literally have grown up in this thing from day one, from like boys to men, literally. We've known each other pre-wives, pre-kids, pre-everything, pre-professions and whatever we're doing in our own personal life. And so we're humbled. I mean, we've got to be doing something right to have some of these guys come back year after year. So we really appreciate, that we've been able to make it this long and make it this long with a lot of the same guys that we started with.
Bruh. Look, told you need to recognize who we got on the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This man right here, go ahead and tell everybody how. We won't make you tell how old you are. We won't do that to you.
I'm 42.
Boy, you still a baby. Look,
42. Yeah.
I got a whole decade
Listen,
on you, brother.
I got one little grade coming in, so it's kind of distinguished just a little bit. But yeah, look, I'm the last dying breed of the 70s. That's what I always say.
That's all
78.
Right. So folks, so tell folks a little bit about what we just watched, right? The D-line, because I don't know if every team has something like that. I don't think the Niners have it, out here in our area. I'm not sure if the Raiders have
actually
something like that.
the Niners do have they do have a drum line. They're not called the D-line. That's our name specifically.
Okay,
but we were one of the first, and we started in 04. Yeah, 04, I believe. And a lot of teams followed suit. Now, every team doesn't have a drum line, but a lot of teams have now caught on to it. So it is a select few. So it's pretty cool fraternity to be a part of, because you can think and imagine there's only 32 teams in the NFL. And out of the few teams that do have a drum line, we're one of them, and we're one of the oldest. So it's great. So, yeah, the Niners, they're actually called the Niner Noise. And we know those guys very well, so they're pretty cool. We've been with them to London a few times.
Okay.
So, so you guys have a drum line up there.
All right. Well, I got to go check them out. They probably won't compare to you, though. So you guys get a chance to fly with the teams to all those.
Yeah, we actually have our own little association. Okay. The professional music groups. It actually encompasses some of the NBA as well. The NBA, they have a few percussion groups as well. So, we try to, it's nothing official through the NFL, so to speak, just kind of something that we put together ourselves. And it has some great leadership behind it. And it's just to kind of see, what different clubs, different groups are doing, and just kind of, even through the whole COVID season, how did it affect each team? Some guys, they were shut down for the entire season. We were one of the few that were blessed to still be able to have a season. Now, what me and my other director, what we had to do was we were only allowed to have 8 guys at the game, of course, practicing all of the, social distancing, things that are in place. So we just kind of compare stories and, talk each other through and just, try to keep all the groups going.
I love it, man. I love it. So, you've been there, you said 17 years. How many folks you got online?
About 18 guys total is what we marched. So that's anywhere from 6 years. What does it take? So we actually, right? So, well, that's once you get on. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I see, because I noticed you use the word fraternity there, right? So I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
You got to.
Yeah.
But basically, we kind of do it almost like an American Idol style, right? So, we have everyone kind of in one spot, and we'll call them up one by one. There's literally a judges table, myself, the other director, our upline in the front office. We'll have probably 3 or 4 of us there, and they'll come up one by one. And there's 3 main factors to get into the group. Is you have to have a self-prepared piece. So that's anything that you think you're really good at, just play it. Then the next portion is sight reading. Obviously, to be on the drum line, there's a lot of people that it's not going to be like the movie drum line where he wasn't talented. He was talented, but he couldn't read music.
Hey, make it plain, brother. There you go. Yeah,
it's not happening. It's not happening at all. No Nick Cannons. But so you have to know how to read music. So you have to know how to read a little bit of music to some degree, of course. But so sight reading music, and we actually give them the music while they're in the holding area. So that's just to see. It's only like maybe 4 measures of music, and then it's a personal interview. So we take you through those 3 criteria, and by lunchtime we try to do the first cuts, and then by the end of the day. We actually, some groups do it in 2 days. We like to do it in 1. So it's pretty tough sometimes, but everyone kind of weeds themselves out, of course.
I love it, man. Man, that's too cool.
I like to applaud you, man, just because you're an entertainer and you're entertaining in front of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, and to be able to be successful in that and hold your craft for 17 years, that speaks volumes. Yeah. And that also shows other people that there's other parts of this entertainment industry, especially with sports, than just the actual sport. Yep. There's brothers like yourself out there entertaining, giving those segments to make sure that the crowd still is engaged with the game and engaged with what's going on. So, man, salute. Definitely. I think people overlook that.
Thank you.
Definitely, brother.
Absolutely. For us, sometimes the fans, what they tell us is one of the things they love about us the most is that they can actually see, feel, and touch us. You know what I'm saying? Like they're able to talk to us. You see the players at times, and if you catch their eye, maybe they'll acknowledge you, and that's no discredit to them at all. They have tons of people hollering at them, right? You have the cheerleaders that sometimes they're, if you get a hold of them, catch up with them, you can. But with us, we're just, we're regular dudes that just love to make the fans happy. That's what our job is on game days to enhance the game day experience. So, that's what we do. We win or lose. Our job is to make everyone happy. So that's what we do.
I love that. I love the fact too that you know how to read music. So I grew up, playing instruments as well, and there's just a whole different concept of being able to know how to read music, right? So
I knew there was a reason why I liked you. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm classically trained. I play a little bit piano, a little violin. To be honest with you, I'm not a violin player. So
he trying to show off.
Well, you know what? Look, I'm telling you, brother.
I played the harp.
Yeah. I used to play the spoons on my leg, and I used to go ahead.
The ham bone. You used to play the ham bone. Yeah. Okay.
And blow a little harmonica. That toy harmonica I got.
Wow. All right. See how we get now. Now we're clowning, right? We get a lot of folks on the show, and now we're clowning. But
man,
let's get focused, Spade. Let's talk about football. Let's talk about the Jags first. You okay with the draft? How you feel about what you got coming out this season?
I've seen a lot of drafts, obviously, over the last 17 going into now 18 years. Yeah. And I will say, honestly, something feels a little different about this one. And we'll see. I mean, it is always a roll of the dice, if you will, when you get these guys coming up from college into the NFL. The game is much faster, especially at quarterback. Obviously, the Jaguars, thank you, Jets. We got the very first pick, and we went with the first pick. In years past, the Jaguars have always made some deals and throttled down from the very number one first pick. And this time they stuck to their guns and they stuck with it, and they got the number one guy that was already projected, years ago, months ago.
Yeah, Lawrence is going to be all right. He going to be all right? He's been primed.
So he's
for
solid.
this
So I just think that,
grade,
we've had decent guys here in the past, but, you have a good quarterback. You have to surround him with the right cast so that he can be successful. So I think that's what's going to be the difference maker. I tell you what, though, I'm excited about Trevor Lawrence, but I'm also excited about his teammate that he came from college with, and that's that Travis guy.
The running back. Yeah, the running back.
Running back. That dude is a beat.
I forgot his name. Travis. I can't pronounce the last name. Atune or something like that. Atune. Yeah, he's a baller.
a teen.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up either.
Yeah.
I can spell it. ETINE.
No, I like what Jacksonville did as far as that concern. My concern with Trevor Lawrence and their team as a whole is beefing up that offensive line. I think the defense is pretty solid as it is right now.
Yes.
They've had a good defense for the last 2 years, but I do believe they need to beef up that offensive line. I think the best thing for Trevor Lawrence is to have a running game. That'll let him slowly progress in the lead and help him get caught up with the speed and everything. I hope the expectation ain't too much on him. I don't think they're playoff bound yet. Jacksonville's not ready to be the playoffs, but I think they're ready to. They got the first building blocks to be something great again and get the right things. And I think that starts with Lawrence and Tune, and then, like I said, add some pieces to the offensive line. Me personally, Urban Meyer, I don't know what he's going to bring to the table. That's going to be, I think, the wild card. What kind of coach is he at the NFL level? I mean, colleges, like you said, the speed of the game.
Totally different.
From a quarterback, the speed of the game from a coach is completely different. And I know Urban Meyer surrounded himself with some guys, but he also just fired some scouts that's been with Jacksonville for a long time. He just fired them. So obviously he wasn't happy with the talent they were bringing in or looking at. So Urban Meyer's changing the whole dynamic of that organization. It's going to be interesting to see how it all folds out.
All right. Well, so now,
he even made a comment.
I had to switch some storylines here because now you brought up Urban Myers. See, you're keeping your brother on his toes. Go ahead, Andrew, man. Go ahead, brother.
No, what I was going to say, he even made a point to say, I heard him say this the other day. He was saying that, in the past, they've talked about it being a rebuilding year and rebuilding. And he gets that. But what he said now he has to give right now results. So I think that's another thing that's a little different than the other coaches that have come through. They've said rebuild, and they've kind of stood and got stuck in that rebuild. Mm-hmm. But he's coming in saying rebuild, but he knows that he has to give right now results. So I think he understands the urgency. And as an owner at this point, Shad Khan is like, look, I've put all my money into this stadium in this city.
All this money.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So we'll see what happens.
Good thing though about that as well, though, that's a dangerous slope. You know what I mean? To say we're tired of building, we want to get some results now, because as we know, you could push a quarterback too far as well. You could push him to where it's detrimental to his development. So I'm hoping Urban Meyer has to pay. He's getting paid to have the plan, so I'm hoping he has the right plan. But I hope he's cautious with the development of Trevor Lawrence, and it's almost like he's going to be thrown to the wolves in the beginning. He's going to have to learn on the fly.
Right
now, there's two ways you can
don't
go.
Want to RG3.
You're going to either be Peyton Manning or you're going to be a Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, that's true. Oh gosh,
why are you bringing up bad news? When you bringing up Ryan Leaf? Oh my God, you bringing up Jamarcus Russell? You bringing up bad news?
Hey man, that's true. That's the honest truth. If you throw guys to the wolves, because like you said, the defenses at the NFL are very dynamic. They're very different than college. Someone that's had so much success in college, and all of a sudden you don't have success in the pros, that's a mental fatigue on you. That's a mental wear down on you on how to be successful. So I'm hoping that Urban Meyer has kind of some type of plan to make sure they bring him along slowly and developing him. So when they can coach him when he gets to those low points and pull him out of it and make sure he becomes successful. Because right now, I think Jacksonville has all the weapons except their offensive line is a little spotty. If they can strip that offensive line, he's going to be fine, because as long as they can run the ball, it doesn't matter. because
Well,
it's gonna he can be patient.
He's got somebody in mind, but let me go ahead and shout out to Dr. Jackson here, who's in the building. Appreciate you for coming, Dr. Jackson. Said he was on a marching wildcat at BCC. I love it.
All right, BCC,
yes, sir. You got to put that up.
Yeah,
there.
we've actually had them come into town. We've done some collabs with them. So
Okay.
BCC, yeah, they're definitely friends of the D line for sure.
Awesome. So, all right, y'all talking about this Urban Meyer, and like I said, he's doing some things. Well, he's trying to do some things. Your boy Tim Tebow just won't lead the news. Your boy Tim Tebow just can't sit still and go ahead and stand behind the desk and talk the news or talk the strategy and do his analyst thing. He still want to go, and he can still play. So let me go ahead and set that precedence right now. He can still play. He's tried out. He's worked out with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Definitely not a quarterback. But probably at the position that he should have gone into many years ago, tight end.
I agree.
And Urban is, they got history. They won some championships back in the college days. So they talking about getting close to signing some paperwork. What do you guys think about that?
You want to go first, Andrew? Or you want me to go first?
I'll let you go
chomping
first.
at the bit. You like this, right?
I'll
You
let you go
chomping at
first,
the bit.
Marcel,
You
yeah.
can't even be
No,
still.
I mean, to me, like I said, no fault to Tim Tebow. I think he's a great athlete. He's one of the greatest college players to ever play. But coming to the NFL after being 4 years off and coming to learn a new position where he's going to be forced to block and be forced to be able to go out there and get hit very differently than he was at quarterback, I think it's a disservice to some of the guys that have been practicing that craft and should also deserve an opportunity to get in. Now, my fault is not with Tim Tebow. My fault is with Urban Meyer because I think this is kind of the good old boy network. It's somebody he knows. It's somebody he's had a lot of success for, so I want to throw him a bone. I want to throw him a bone because I think he's still athletic. We can bring him in. He could do some things. But let's be perfectly honest. At this point in Tim Tebow's career, how effective could he be as a tight end? He can't be very effective. There's no way. We haven't seen him catch. We haven't seen him block. We haven't seen him go hit a linebacker. Haven't seen him go and take on a safety, get hit. I don't know how effective he could be at the tight end position coming in. To be able to take a roster spot from somebody that's played that position has been successful.
That's the point right there, right? That's the point right there. Taking the roster spot. Yeah, again, Tebow, he's got the skills, he's got the craft, he knows how to read a playbook, and he's been to the top, at least from the college perspective. I didn't mean to cut you off, but again, that's the point right there that kind of irks me a little bit. Taking someone who's been in the grind for all these other years since Tebow's been out, and now Urban and Tim have this relationship, so he's going to bring him in.
Yeah. Now someone gets shunned that's probably been on the roster, somebody that's been working his butt off to try to get developed, or a guy that could be a free agent coming is going to get shunned. Now, again, I don't agree with Tim Tebow being a tight end. I agree with Tim Tebow coming in as a quarterback if he was going to come into anything because he can mentor Trevor Lawrence and say, okay, he's good enough to be a backup quarterback. He's not good enough to be a starter. I think if he came in as a backup quarterback and say, you know what, I'm going to mentor him. I'm going to get this kid through the rough spots. I can show him how to handle the media. I can show him how to read defenses. The way that I learned how to read defense, even though I wasn't successful, doesn't mean because you're not a successful player in the NFL does not mean you're not a successful coach. I think Tim Tebow could be a great voice in his ear and show him how to do things and also how to deal with success. Yeah, he would be a great mentor in that aspect. But for him to come in and take tight end, man, first he played quarterback, and now you're gonna say now you go play baseball, and now you're gonna come in 3 or 4 years later. Now I'm gonna go become a tight end. Hey,
he's Bo Jackson.
He think he want to be Bo. He's big enough to be as big as Bo is, right?
Man. I mean, come on. I mean, just come on, man. I mean, that's not the reality of football life. It doesn't work that way. He's not Michael Jordan. He can't go take a couple of years off and come back and say, "I'm gonna be Mike all over again." You wasn't Mike in the first place, so you can't take 4 years off and then you go come in and be Mike. Oh, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know what, Montel? I wonder if we're not looking into this deep enough. Maybe he's a decoy.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a thought, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's a decoy for defenses.
That's 1 or 2 plays a game. I mean, do you really want to sacrifice?
Listen, that's 1 or 2 plays that we didn't get in the past. So, if it'll get us closer to that first down.
But I think that's only true until defenses figure it out, right? You already know the NFL. The defense catches
up. That only works
for
so long. That's true.
He's a decoy for 3 games, and then all of a sudden, like when he comes in the game, they're going to do
this.
They're going to do 1 or 3 things.
Don't even worry about it.
Yeah. So do I really want to take up a roster spot, take up that kind of salary cap, for a person that's only going to benefit me for 3 freaking plays? I don't think so.
Right.
That
No,
doesn't weigh
probably
the law
not.
of the average of an NFL roster. So, like I
Yeah.
said, if they were going to bring him in as a quarterback, I'm all for it, man. Come in and mentor the dude, show him what he needs to do. I'm pretty sure, even though Tebow wasn't successful throwing the right angles and doing all that stuff, I know he's good enough to coach those guys and tell that guy, hey, this is how you need to read defense. This is what you need to look at. I played against these guys before. I know that defensive coordinator. I know his scheme against us. This is what he's going to try to do. Yeah. He would be, I think, great in that role.
Yeah, because he's a good athlete and he's got a good head. Yeah, he's got a good
and everything. So
football head for sure.
Yeah.
And now you can come in and bring him in. Now he can be a wildcat quarterback, right? So now he can come in and play a position that he's familiar, do the wildcat plays a couple of times. He can throw good enough to get out of the situation on wildcat, but he can be that. Yeah. I think he can be that really strong mentor. Please, I think Urban Meyer talking about bringing one as a roster spot to take on a tight end spot. Man, I just think that's that good old boy network that I don't like to see in the NFL because it takes away from somebody else that I think could be more beneficial to the team. Yeah. In my opinion,
it's an interesting time, but hey, if anything for you, Andrew, your team is getting a lot of attention because you're stacking, right? You got number 1 draft pick, and you got old school Tebow, and Urban Meyer, he's going to come in with those college type of mentalities, those college type plays, those trick plays and things of that nature. So. He may come in as a decoy and still play another position. It may not just be tight end. We don't know, but it's worth watching the story. It's worth hearing about.
It is.
Oh, it's going to sell tickets, right? It's going to sell. Yeah, it's going to sell tickets.
And this is a different type of attention that the Jaguars aren't used to. This is new. Mm-hmm. This is definitely they've had their times where they've been kind of in and out of the spotlight, but for not good. Mediocre, so on, but this is actually a feel good this time, because obviously, Trevor Lawrence. Look at his history, right?
Yeah.
This kid, he's been a winner. I think he's only lost maybe 2 games his entire collegiate career, right? So all he is a winner. So they're gonna watch him his entire season. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think. I think you guys. I think they're. The trajectory is going up. Obviously, it's not going down or not staying. I think they got all the pieces. I do believe Urban Meyer is going to bring that mindset. My thing with Urban Meyer, again, with him, I differ because he brings that Nick Saban thing, and Nick Saban was not successful in the pros. We got to remember, college is different. College and pros is completely different. Pros, you're dealing with grown men. You can't tell grown men what to do. You can't ostracize grown men like that. You coach them and get them ready to go. College, you can't. You have a little bit more wiggle room to be,
more leverage,
a little more, and you're holding on to their scholarship. These guys are making millions and millions of dollars. You can cut me all you want. Yeah. I'm still paid. So I believe. I don't know if his college ways are going to transcend into the pros. Maybe he's different now. I don't know. I'm going by what he did in college. Coming into the pros, I don't know if it's how it's going to work out or how it's going to be different, man. I don't see it like I said, him firing guys from the scouting department that's been there for 17 years. That's a change, and I kind of get it because he wants to bring in his new regime.
You got to bring in your own crew, but
you got to watch for the shock value though, because you can't change too fast. If you change too fast, some things don't work out. So I'm really wondering how this is all going to work out, man. I think this is a big experiment. I think the Jacksonville owner took a big chance with Urban Meyer, and I hope the experiment works. But right now, it's to be continued or to be announced. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, man.
And we'll bring you back in the middle of the season, right? When you're at least at 500, right? And we'll recap. I'll rewind.
Actually, listen. Why we got to wait that long? Let's wait till let's jump on it right after preseason.
I ain't mad.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Exactly.
Y'all heard that right. First of all, let me get some shots out. We got Miss Keely in the room, and she was talking about she's a marching band fan or marching band person as well. So we see you in the building. Okay.
Right on, Miss Keely.
Terrell
marching band nerds unite. That's awesome.
This is a good point. Carroll made the jump from USC to Seattle and has had some pretty decent success. That's a good point. And I love Pete Carroll. I do. Yep. I think he is one of the masters.
But to hold that on, I hear what he says. Well, Pete Carroll was in the NFL first. He was in the NFL first. He went to USC and came back to the NFL.
Yeah.
It's very hard for a college coach to transcend go to the NFL because the dynamics are so different when you come to the league. And that's why you have a lot of college coaches that try to come into it unsuccessful. They have a lot of unsuccessful because they try to bring that college mentality, and it does not work. Nick Saban is arguably the greatest college coach ever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't argue that with his success.
Yeah.
He was horrible at Miami.
Yeah.
Horrible coach at Miami.
Yeah, he was.
So I mean, Pete Carroll. I mean, shout out. I know you're trying to prove me wrong, but Pete Carroll was already in the league first, and he got that grooming from the league before he came back, and he brought actually the pros to USC, the pro mentality to the USC, in order to make them successful, and just took it on over to Seattle.
All right,
that is true.
I did not think that one story about Urban Meyer was going to take all that amount of time, but I love it. I love the conversation. See, Andrew, you didn't know what you was walking into. But I told, look, Montel don't.
I did it. This is great.
We make sure you got your AC on, brother, because it gets hot up in here sometimes. So, let's go on to the next story. We're gonna stay in football for a little bit. This guy is in the news as well. This man, Aaron Rodgers, it's not about money, I don't think, right? Because this last story here that came out earlier today, Green Bay actually offered him a substantial amount of coin, make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, but he's not necessarily feeling that. I really think Aaron wants to come back to Northern California, wants to come back to his roots, wants to come back and play for San Francisco, where he was shunned when he was drafted and has never had the opportunity to be in San Francisco. And I think that's where he wants to end his career. This is a relevant story because of who it is and who we're talking about, right? What do you guys think about this, though? The fact that, again, we're at this pivotal moment right before the season, OTAs, and whatever the case may be, right? The teams are starting to start gelling now that the draft is over. Green Bay Packers really are in flux right now with their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, they got a lot going on, and I think Aaron strategically planned to release that news right before the draft for them to trade him, or he didn't want to come back. I believe that Aaron also understands that. I think he's just tired of Green Bay and the lack of transparency in developing the team because he wants to win. And the pieces that they're getting, he doesn't feel they can actually win the Super Bowl with or get to the Super Bowl with. Money is not an issue. I totally agree with you. I've heard stories he's prepared to sit out the whole year to just get released on out. So if he's prepared to do that, money obviously is not the criteria that he wants. But I do believe Aaron wants anywhere besides being in Green Bay. I think that trust or that love between him and ownership or him and the front office has been severed, and I think it's now at a point that's not repairable. I know they won't trade him till after June 1st because they don't want they want to be able to get that. They don't want that hit on the salary cap because they won't be obligated to that money. So if they're going to entertain any trade, it's going to be after June, which is great. But I also believe that Aaron's not going to get a chance to pick where he wants to go. Green Bay's going to say, I'm going to get the best bang for my dollar if we're going to have to unload him, which is rightfully so. They have the rights to do that. And I think Aaron will take anything rightfully so that comes his way just to get from underneath that program and find greener pastures for himself. I'm hoping it's Northern California. I mean, wishful thinking that it's going to be in California. I don't think he's going to end up in California. There's no way I don't think San Francisco right now has enough to give them that they'll be interested in it. I think the Raiders may have some enough pieces and be able to maneuver some money to be able to get him. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers will want to play for Gruden. I don't think he wants to be under that Gruden microscope. So the Rams can't do it. And the Chargers aren't going to do it either because Chargers got a new guy. The Rams just invested in Stratford. 49ers are not going to do it. You can't go to Seattle because Seattle got Russell. The Raiders is the most likely place he will land if he comes to the West. There or Denver. And both of those guys will make interesting bids for him to try to get there. But again, if I'm Green Bay, I'm breaking the bank. You're giving me everything. They tried it, but they thought they could repair the relationship. Now they can't repair the relationship. Yeah. I'm trying to break the bank. I want all your 2022 picks. I don't want just one or two. I want everybody. I want all. I want the whole draft.
I want money from the gate. I want money from concession. I want everything. Right. It may be one of those one-off type of deals, right, or something that's extraordinary, as opposed to, again, just the salary. It's because it's obviously not just that he's looking for. Maybe he feels that he's lost respect, or he's looking for something else. Maybe an opportunity to get into ownership, into management, into general management, whatever the case may be, after his career is over. So a clause like that, it's an interesting conversation because, again, when money is no longer the root of your why, what is it? Right?
Yeah, I think there was probably some heartfelt conversations behind the scenes that we probably don't even know about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, once you get to a point to where the players, I mean, once they start, at the level that he's been, at the level that he's gotten to, money is no longer a concern. Yeah, I think his heart is out of it, and I think the best thing to do at this point is just let him go. I've never really believed in holding a player hostage, especially if their heart is not in it. I don't think it's fair to the player. I don't think it's fair to the franchise or the teammates to have somebody there that's disgruntled or not even happy to be there. It just doesn't make sense. So, but you're right. Montel, you brought up an interesting point with all those different scenarios over there on the West Coast. I don't really see any other place being even a possibility other than the Raiders. But then, Rodgers and Gruden, I don't even see that in the same sentence.
Ain't gonna be.
There's no way.
I was listening to another podcast earlier today, and they were talking about he could end up at the Texans. Check this out: the Texans would waive Deshaun Watson. They would waive Deshaun Watson. They would give everything they could to get Rodgers there, and tell Rodgers, "Let's build there." That's just one story that I heard. I was like, "Wow, that's interesting." That means there would be enough money under the salary cap to be able to sign him. Now the thing is, do they have enough something enticing to be able to give to Green Bay for them in order to ship him there? Because the thing is as much as Aaron is disgruntled, he doesn't control this. He doesn't control this.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the right to control.
After all the times he's been in the league, he knows it's a business, so he can.
And the Jaguars doesn't want. Just for the record, the Jaguars don't want that. The Jaguars don't want that. We don't need him. We don't need him in the AFC.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Nixon from the D-line is putting in the statement right now. Jacksonville does not want Aaron Rodgers. We don't want
I like you, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm just curious who's going to offer him on, like, the guys on the sports network we all watch was talking about. It's going to take at least 2 number ones and some number 2s to get him. I think it's going to cost more than that because he's a reigning MVP. Yeah. Rodgers got at least 4 good more years in him by far. He's got 4. The way he played last year, he's still got at least a good 4 years in him. But now
that's after his injury. Yeah, he's back.
He's still man. He's still a man.
Yeah. So now we got to say, okay, what teams have something to offer him? And I think that's a bigger question than him just being traded. What teams have something to offer him, and what can they offer him? Me personally, if I'm a team that wants him, I'm a team, not your boys, Jackson Jaguars, but I believe Mr. Tua would be off shipping, and I'm trying to get Mr. Rodgers in a Miami Dolphin uniform because they can offer him a lot.
Wow.
They could offer him a lot.
You breaking news here, brother. But
wow. But think about it. Miami Dolphins has a great defense. They're playing in the AFC East where they got to be able to overcome Buffalo now, who's the guys, the beast to do it. Mm-hmm. They offer the life of South Beach, no taxes, all that money can go there, and they got valuable pieces they can go ahead and offer them to be able to offload what they want for Aaron Rodgers. It makes a lot of sense for teams like that are young, that has a lot of quality players that can trade for him in order to get him. Mm-hmm. Again, like I said, Aaron may have pushed the envelope, but he doesn't control the narrative where he's going to go. And if I'm Green Bay, I'm breaking the bank on everything I can get for the reigning MVP in order to make my team valuable in the division they're in. So
there we go. There we go.
That's
Heated,
it.
boy.
I think they just need to listen to Montel. I think Montel got to figure it out.
Look,
I'm just saying.
He already getting props and shouts out. Look, I put this up here already, but they saying you just confessing as hell, brother. You the man with the
pride. Absolutely. I agree. If anybody know what they talking about is Montel.
Yeah. Before we move on, I don't want to pass by this comment that Kevin Cox put up here. Harbaugh got pushed out because he tried to grade out men like treat grown men like college athletes. That's a good point too. No, I think he did. Harbaugh?
No, I disagree with that 100%.
What?
Harbaugh was very successful. What?
Go talk, brother. Let me go, brother. Go, brother.
Oh man, Harbaugh was very successful.
Gave you the floor.
Harbaugh lost his job because of what I think the situation with Colin Kaepernick with him babying him. I think that the tight end I forgot you guys had that went to Vernon whatever.
Vernon Davis.
The situation he had with him, I think he was unsuccessful in his draft. I don't think treating the players at all because he's a player's coach. He developed Colin Kaepernick to be a great player. He developed Alex Smith to be serviceable, to be traded, and he had success in the 49ers, and he built a great defense at that time. He didn't lose his job because he treated them more like college players. He lost his job because I think his time in 49ers had ran out. They weren't giving him the money to get the players he was going to get. He wasn't able to sustain those professional guys to that level that he needed to hold them to for them to be successful. I don't think it has anything to treat them like college players. I think it had to be with, hey, you know what? My coaching style and the way I'm going is starting to play itself out. It's not working here anymore. It's not going. But also in that same instance, you got to remember Harbaugh lost 1, 2, 3, 4 offensive coordinators, 1, 2, 3 defensive coordinators in his tenure. How can you be successful when you lose that many people in your circle that's being successful in order to sustain success?
Yeah. Ask the Jaguars, they know.
Exactly.
It's true. I mean, it's true. Listen, it's true. I think all the stars aligned just right for him to lose his job. I really do. I think it was just the perfect storm with everything that went on, and then also with Kaepernick and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it was just the perfect stars aligned. He was that was the inevitable. That had to happen.
Yeah. Mr. Cox, I would agree with you if you said Singletary, not Harbaugh. If you'd have said Mike Singletary when he was the coach, I agree with that 100%. What did he say? I missed it. Yeah, he said that he says about the players got tired of the BS that he was doing. Yeah, I think when that was Singletary, yes, I agree with you. I think Harbaugh was a little bit of a different story, man. I think that was just a little bit different. And that's my opinion.
Some other stuff, yeah.
And you realize I had to take myself on camera because you know that was I set you up, Montel, for that. And I'm sitting behind the scenes. I was just cracking up. I just wanted to get that conversation going. So look, you can't take me anywhere, brother. You can't take me anywhere. Brother Riley is in the building, and he's asking a question before we move off of football. Let me put that up there. What do you think about Tua?
If he's asking me, Tua still needs some development to do. I think Miami made a mistake by playing him too soon last year when Fitzpatrick was hot. I thought he should have sat behind him and learned. But Miami was such eager to get him into the fold. I believe he'll be better this year, but also believe teams are going to come at him different. Remember, in the NFL, man, it's just a different beast as far as the defense, and the coordinators are so smart and understand so much that it's hard to have a lot of success, continued success. Tua is a player that he's already had a major injury. He's had somewhat success in Miami, pretty good, but I mean, is it enough to get them over the hump? I think at best right now he's going to be a little bit better than the average quarterback, but I'm not quite sure where he's going to land. I think he's still a project to be developed, in my opinion.
I agree. Folks?
Yeah, the Jaguars dealt with the same thing. Not to keep bringing them up, but it's a good example that I can always bring with them because of the lack of success that they've had in years past. But that's what happened to Blaine Gabbert, believe it or not. He got thrown in way too early, and he got thrown in way too early, and also with a not so good offensive line. And with quarterbacks, they can become gun shy if they don't have an offensive line to protect them. Listen, the reason why Brady's good, don't get it twisted, and he showed that he's good. Because he didn't have the same offensive line he had back when he was at the Patriots, right? But it shows if you don't have a good offensive line, it's going to mess you up. So, I mean, we literally watch him from the sidelines. Blaine Gabbert would get a snap. He would snap the ball, and he would jump before, you can't do that. Your poise has to be right. And he got messed up as a result of it. So I do agree. You put a quarterback in too soon, too early with the wrong offensive line, you can mess up their psyche for the rest of their career. It's literally that intense.
Yeah. I'm 100% all the way with you. I believe, and I'll take it a step further. I think every quarterback in the NFL is good. That's why they're there. I believe if you give every quarterback time, they can be successful in the NFL. That's the key. You have to be able to give them time. And when you throw young quarterbacks into the fold without that time, you're right. Blaine Gabbert gets gun shy. RG3, he didn't get gun shy. He broke his leg, but after that, he's never been the same type of player. And I think one of the people mentioned Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith is probably the one exceptional guy to the system, but he's exceptional to the system because he got stability in the 49ers in the late part of his career there. before pre-Harbaugh, he had no stability. Bunch of offensive coordinators, different scheme, different coaches. When Harbaugh got there, he put stability because Harbaugh's the quarterback coach, so he taught him how to read. He started to have success. From that point on, he was able to take that same success. Let's take it over to Kansas City. I understand how the game is to be played and it's a slow down and how to be able to work with it. He was successful in Kansas City, and obviously he was able to. Now you're mature, you understand, you've been in the game, you know long enough. He was able to be successful in Washington as well. But every player is not going to have that timeline to develop. They just don't. They don't have that timeline like Alex Smith had to develop. Most quarterbacks, if you're not successful in that first 4 or 5 years, hey, you're designated to a backup, and if you're designated to a backup, you're pretty soon going to be sorting yourself out the lead, or you're just going to be a journeyman that goes all over the league and plays backup. So I think a lot has to do with the offensive line. Stability has to be there. And let's be honest, you got to stick with the same coordinator or a coordinator that's similar so you can have the same terminology and the same play and the same scheme that's going on. Practice makes perfect. You got to keep doing the same over and over again in order to be successful.
Yeah.
Yep. So they don't have it. So
I love it. Montel, before we move into our next
Montel's
topic,
a beast.
Yeah, and this is why I'm interjecting.
Come on.
I know this, and when we first did our first show, folks are aware as well. But give folks the elevator pitch in terms of why you've got the extensive football knowledge, and tell them what you do, NBA sports and things like that. Give everyone a quick little shout out.
Oh man, so yeah, I played Division II football, which is great. Love my experience there, played it, but I really got more into the other aspect of it. Definitely when I got in helping high school recruiting, and I have a company called NBA Sports Recruiting that definitely educates high school kids, especially kids that are underprivileged, how to go through the recruiting process, how to deal with coaches, how to get themselves there to at least the collegiate level, and then expand their game from there. Coaches wise, my background, my son is a collegiate coach. I coached at the high school level. I had opportunity to coach at the collegiate level. I did so. We have a pretty good background in the coaches, and I kind of understand what's going on. But football's just been a mainstay in my life, so I always can do it. Take on field hockey. I can take on some field hockey. Hey, my son played lacrosse. Don't get it twisted. I know what's going on. I know field hockey's for girls, but my son played lacrosse, so the rules are pretty much similar. I got you.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Montel Allen's in the building.
Awesome.
Now you know we got some subject matter experts in the room here. So you know I'm just here flipping switches, making sure everyone looks decent on camera. You know that's
what
a
great job.
I love it. So let's go ahead and move in, and this is kind of a shorter story, but it's one that has relevance to me. It's from a baseball perspective, and I did want to just touch on it, get your guys' opinion, and just your commentary on it. Be honest with you, Willie Mays turned 90 years old. Willie Mays still living, oldest living Hall of Famer out there. Willie Mays is, and always will be the man. Right, I love this title. Right, he was Steph, he was Michael, he was Simone, Mikhail Baryshnikov. All of those roll into one from a charisma perspective, from his ability, his skill set. Say hey, right? I mean, just Willie Mays and still being relevant and contributing to the sport. From a coaching perspective, from a consulting perspective, right? 90 years old, but he's still relevant in the conversation because he's still here with us. But talk to me, guys, about your thoughts about Brother Mays.
Well, first of all, I think that's amazing. That I mean, like just looking at some of those clips that you're showing there. I mean, he's seen it all from the. You know, he's seen the maturation of it, right? Even just to kind of see where we are now and some of the hurdles that's still there, underlying or not. He's been through it all, and he still survived it. Mm-hmm. You know, fighting to play a sport. Could you imagine that? You know, as easy as it is for our kids now to just sign them up and let them play freely, but fighting to play a sport and then also being great at it as well, and to kind of maintain that status even post-playing, I think is absolutely amazing. And, you know, that, you know, he's just left a lot of room for people to kind of really aspire to that. So I think it's great. I think it's awesome that he's still alive. And I mean, look at that. That's crazy. Just look at that. Black and white. You know what I'm saying? Like
that and that catch that he
invent
did.
The home run. I mean, look at that.
You know, the catch that he made when he was out there and, you know, he caught it overhead, right? He was looking over his head and he caught it backwards. That is one of the most iconic plays ever, and I can watch that forever. I can watch him.
You
run
can't
the
teach
bases.
anybody that.
No,
that's natural.
no.
I think he is just legend, in the living legend. I think that he was one of the intricate parts that transcend the sport, not only from athletic perspective, but also from a social conscious perspective, obviously.
Yeah.
But just there's no Barry Bonds, there's no Ricky Henderson, there's none of that without Willie Mays.
Mm-hmm.
None of those guys are there.
None of those guys Reggie Jackson, there's none of him.
Yeah,
right?
Reggie Jackson. Yeah. They don't even play like that. They don't play like that if there's no Willie Mays. You know, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays are the 1-2 punch. They showed us how to play, how to be great athletes in baseball, how to do those things. And the fact that Willie Mays is still alive and still, breathing this air and still can teach and share his knowledge of what's going on, man, is above amazing. The man, like I said,
right there that was just on the screen. That was what I was talking about.
Yeah. But I mean, look at that. That changed. That wasn't done back then, and that changed the way athleticism was done in baseball.
Yeah.
I always compare him to Ken Griffey Jr. I always thought Willie Mays and Ken Griffey Jr. had some similarities. As far as their play on the field, not social part, but just to play on the field. And Willie Mays was better than Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
So I never got a chance to see Willie Mays play, but I mean, I can't imagine. I thought Ken Griffey Jr. was like the man, and then to say this man back in the day was was better than him, at least from that standpoint, is amazing. So, man, just salute to that man for everything he's done, endured, shared, given us, earned. Just that brother deserves all the roses in the world while he's still
definitely
6 feet over,
definitely,
man. So
hey, Montel, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think what do you think was maybe some of the motivating factors to their greatness? I mean, do you think he was just good, or do you think because he had much more to prove in those days, if that was some of the contributing factors to him being as good? You know what I'm saying? Because they had to fight so much harder.
Yeah. I think contribute. There's a couple of things. I think that was a motivation factor. I have to be better than everyone else. I think natural athleticism was different. Back then, I'm sure in his childhood he was segregated. You only played with the other kids in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
We have our games that we play to be fun are actually different than Caucasian kids played. So we're running around playing tag, doing different things, which actually athletically develops you more so. And when you get to that level, it just starts to transcend to his overall natural athleticism to be just a great player.
Yeah.
I believe his push to be great, his push to be better than his cohorts, his push to be, the best player I can, gravitate him to be all those things that can be done. And he was very successful at it. I mean, I can't imagine, man, back then, I could play in the major leagues, and this is kind of the ending era of the Negro leagues. Like, this is where you're supposed to be playing, but I've got an opportunity to play over here. I'm accepted over here. I'm ostracized over here. And just to fit in, I got to be great. I have to be greater than the greatest that's on the field to be there in order just to keep my place. Yeah. Not just to, do it. I just got to be greater than the greatest just to keep my place.
Wow. Just to stand on the team, here. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I can't imagine the pressure he had to deal with and the things he had to go with. But to your point, I just think it was a combination of all those things that made him great. I think, I'm sure there was other players that tried it and tried to get the crossover to the major leagues at those times and weren't successful. They just couldn't do it. They didn't either have the fortitude or they didn't have the mental mind state, or it was just too much that they felt, I want to go a different route. I can't deal with this anymore. So
I don't want to be the first because there's so much other pressure and thing. Yeah,
exactly, man. I mean, we're in this time. Remember, we're still dealing with burning crosses. We're still dealing with people outside your thing. We still have them calling us Negroes in the newspaper.
Yep.
They're not calling. He dealt with a lot more than I think people can even imagine, and to be able to overcome it, to be as great as it was, man. I mean, that right there is a testament in itself.
Yeah.
Outside of baseball, shine baseball, we just talk about what he had to overcome just to be in the building. I mean,
just to walk in the door, right?
That's just amazing, man. Because I can't imagine somebody calling me the N-word to my teammate or somebody on the team calling me N-word. At our time, we could fisticuffs, we can do something about it, or we can defend ourselves. He could not. Yeah. He couldn't even defend himself.
And that takes more. That takes more strength. That takes more fortitude and more courage, honestly, to withhold and do like the Lord says, turn the other cheek, or whatever the case may be. But that really, because he knew that he was setting the example for future generations, and everyone was watching him. And if he did act a fool, if he did take a swing at somebody with that bat, it would have he'd end up locked up, and it would have set us back decades more. So.
And what's the crazy part about it? I feel he's rightfully so could have did any of those things and been justified. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's justified. I mean, somebody burn my thing or threaten my family in the stands or something like. You should be justified to defend yourself, but he could, man. And I marvel at men like him because I don't know how they dealt with it. I really don't, man. I don't know how they had that internal fortitude to be able to deal with those types of things because it's unbelievable to me.
Crazy.
Especially it's just unbelievable to me. So that's that. I hope I answered your question, Andre. I hope I did.
Yeah, you did. You got it. That was good. No, it was great.
Well, see, and we all
I knew it was going to be loaded. That was a setup. So
look at it.
I appreciate that.
No, see, we all fathers, so we all have a very keen perspective as well, and wanting to set the right example and want to have those types of conversations. So I love that. But I got to call you out there on this one, though, Montel, because you have been called on the curb here.
Okay.
Field hockey is a men's sport worldwide. Ms. Keeley has spoken. Let it be written. Let it be done.
Okay, I'm wrong. I thought field hockey was lacrosse, and I thought field hockey was the girls' part. But maybe I'm absolutely wrong. And if I'm wrong, please I apologize. Well, then I know lacrosse. Then I don't know field. I don't feel hockey. I thought I could have sworn field hockey's playing with girls, but I guess I'm just off, man.
We're gonna have a show. We're going to invite Keeley on, and she gonna talk about everything that we know. Yeah, she can definitely school you to the game.
School me to the game. I'm all open to learn. Yes, absolutely.
I love it. We got David Blackman in the building. How you living, sir? What topics are we covering? Look, we talking everything, brother. This is the social impact of sport. We done gone all over the board. We talked a lot of football. We had Brother Nixon here talking and doing some drumline. He should have brought out some cymbals or something. I know everyone in the house is probably asleep, but
we're gonna get the man in trouble. Yeah.
Sylvia already in the background talking about, man, you better be quiet. Don't be yelling in the room. But I tell you what, so Brother Macklin, you came just in time because now we are actually going to talk about that social impact comment. And we've got one that I do hope that folks will engage and interact with us. We're not saying that we're experts, but we are saying that we do want to have the dialogue. And this is one of the issues, I think, with society today. We don't have these awkward conversations about matters and issues that really resonate and help move society forward. So, with that set up, man, I should play a little soundbite or something right now. This story really kind of moves me a weird way, and I don't understand the legislation behind it, to be honest with you. So trans women are being targeted in sports bans, saying that there's actually a law on the book that is prohibiting transgender athletes, and this is specifically talking about at the high school level, I believe, from participating in sports like track or basketball or whatever the case that they want to play after they've transformed, right? So, Montel, you brought this story to our attention. Talk to us a little bit about kind of the crux of it while I scroll down and I bring up the actual legislation that's being talked about. But I will say one thing for sure. I don't agree with the legislation, and I wish they would let these kids play, right, as opposed to limiting access, limiting capability. What was it called? The Fairness in Women's Sports Act. Which has been on the books, looks like since March of 2020, is the legislation that's limiting these athletes from actually participating in the sports they choose. So,
talk to us, I brought to attention because this is a very touchy subject. Let's be perfectly honest. And I can empathize on both sides of the fences. But I'm a guy that's in the middle because I'll be very transparent with everyone. I'm not quite sure where I land on this topic. I don't know where. I mean, do I think it's fair, competitive nature? There was someone that was, used to be a male and now is a female, now competing against other females. I don't know if there's an advantage or disadvantage. I really can't tell you. I don't know. But in some cases, I do believe it just depends on the nature of the person. I think there may be a disadvantage at that situation. Is that okay? Is it right? I do not know. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle of the road of how everything. I wish there was a place for them to able to compete in sports, but and I'm going to be honest. I'm being a hypocrite on this situation. I'm going to be very hypocritical in this situation. If that person was competing and I was watching them, I'd probably say, oh, okay, it may be okay. If that person was competing against my daughter, and I thought they had a fair advantage, I would be biased. That's me as of right now, because either I'm uneducated on it, and I don't really understand it. Maybe from that standpoint, but I'm being very open and honest. I'm very hypocritical when it comes to that matter, because I just don't. I'm not understanding where the fence. Where do we draw the line with that? Because I think there is some unfair advantages to them being able to participate in other women's sports. So I guess I brought this topic up because I wanted to share it. Let's talk about it and kind of figure it out, and let's get a better understanding about where do they land and how does they land on this. I know one thing I read, it was like something about the testosterone. As long as they have the testosterone for a year under a level, they can kind of compete with it. But I don't understand the science part about it. To be perfectly honest with you, I really don't how that works or how it doesn't work. But I mean, I just don't know I don't know where we would land on the fence with that. Yeah. Where is it okay and where is it not okay? So let's open it up to the floor. I want you guys' opinion as well, man, to kind of help me educate, and I want to be able to understand what you guys think about it.
I always come with the ad libs at the end, and so I'm gonna defer to Brother Nixon right quick and see. Again, kind of hit you out of left field with this one, right, man? Because we want to get deep. We want to have this conversation. Again, not saying that we're experts. I'm liking the fact that Keely brought up a Olympic Channel show. So I'm gonna take a look at that. Be honest with you, and maybe we'll do a recap on this another week, just to really get an understanding in terms of. I really want to understand why the legislation is prohibiting these kids from participating in sports of their choice. But Andrew, I'll let you go ahead, man.
Well, this is a very interesting topic. I can tell you this, although marching, music, or percussion is not I guess it's athletic to some degree, but I mean, we've even gone through some hurdles there, right? I mean, usually when you think drumline, it's usually a bunch of guys. But I tell you what, I know some of the most amazing drummers that are females, and in this activity over the last 15 to 20 years, they've really come up. So just looking at it from that aspect, I almost feel like when it comes down to what type of sport. What type of contact sport? I know I hear some of the science that they were talking about as far as if the testosterone levels are at a certain level, maybe it's okay. But Montel, I totally hear you. If for my child going up against someone that's transgender, if there may be an unfair advantage because she was a boy at one point. I don't know. I just you want to be fair all the way across the board. You want everyone to just do what they need to do and do what they want to do. But it's just, I guess, respect has to go all the way around to what everyone's beliefs or feelings are on it. And it's like, where do you meet in the middle? It's just such a touchy subject. Where do you meet in the middle? How do you still allow time and space for someone that may be transgender to still, do normal activities like normal, you know what I mean? Just, it's, I guess there's no right or wrong answer. But now to have it in the courts and to kind of have the courts mandate stuff and really tighten up and structure stuff, it just gets real touchy, man. And it's, I don't know, it's unfortunate to not find the right kind of resolve that will make everyone happy.
Yeah, my challenge is, and appreciate that, man. But my whole challenge is, I think that some of these decisions, a lot of these decisions, are being made in a vacuum. They're being made by only the folks that are in the walls of legislation, as opposed to really reaching out and talking to the individuals that are involved, talking to the families that are involved, talking to the teams, the sports, the athletes, everyone that's involved in the situation. Instead, you got 40 or 50 people sitting in a room with their stuffy suits on, and they're making these types of decisions
that don't even play sports. Don't
know all the dynamics of it, right? And don't really understand these types of decisions. So that's my challenge with this, and that's why I don't agree with what's going on. Again, how to be fair, how to understand, does this person have an advantage or not? I'm going to take the action item, and I'm going to watch this particular video series. But again, you dropped this on us about an hour ago, and I love it, right? So didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of research, but really wanted to take the time to bring it up and open it up for conversation.
I'd love to watch that special too. Thanks, Keely. I want to take a look at that as well. I'm very, very interested in that.
Yeah, I definitely do too, because I want to get a better understanding of this. But I got a hypothetical question for you guys, just kind of how would you favor on this one? So, MMA is very huge right now, right? And women in MMA is even getting bigger and bigger. How would you feel about a transgender person that's going to fight a woman in MMA, a man that used to be, and now he's going to go in there and fight a woman because now he's he's a transgender? Is that fair for him to be able to compete against that woman in that kind of scenario? See, those are the things I've always asked myself.
So, I don't even like to watch MMA women fight because I don't like to see women. I just don't.
But it is a sport, though. It is something.
It is. It's incredibly popular.
I see what you're saying, Montel. Yeah. That's a good point.
So where do we go from there? Now, I understand track because it's not physical like that. It's not a really physical. It's a test of you running or maybe swimming. Those things may be a little bit different, but something like that is a physical sport. A person that used to be a man is now transitioned himself to a woman. Where typically, I'm not saying this all. I'm not trying to be sexist, but I mean typically a man is a little bit bigger, stronger because testosterone runs in his body to be able to build muscle. I don't even him regulating it after a year. Is that fair for that woman to have to fight a person that used to be a male in order to win? Because we don't know what the damage could be in that situation. Maybe she might even win. The woman might win. We don't know. But I'm saying I don't even want to risk something like that.
Exactly.
In a sport, I don't even want to do the. I don't even want the risk. I don't want the risk of, and I don't even want the idea of any kind of man, formerly a man or used to be a man, current man, or used to be a man beating on a woman.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that anyway. So that's what I'm saying. There's another curveball in there that. And like I said, I brought this up because I do not have the answer. I don't know enough about the situation, but I know it's going to be a hot topic, and it's only going to get more and more gaining ground because this is an issue. Yeah. This is an issue about being competitive and all those things. So, I just those are the things I think about. Man, I'm warped. I'm a little warped when it comes to
No, hey, brother, again, the social impact of sports. So that's what this is all about.
Yeah, and the issues even in the military as well.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that they just rolled some of it back. They were either banning it at one point, or I don't know. Don't quote me on it, but I know it was even some conversation there as a result to the military too as well. So it's definitely a hot topic, especially in times now. It's definitely more socially acceptable than it was years ago, right? Let's just, we're just in a different place. So, not that it didn't exist back then, but it's just more common now, right? You got your genders, you have people that are very, that are out there in the public eye that now live that life. So it's just kind of made it more comfortable for everyone to just kind of live, if that's where they are. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that all lands and what do we look like in the next. And I think in the next 5 years, it's going to be really big. What do we look like just in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Where is that all going to land? So should be interesting.
And that's interesting. That's interesting you brought up Jenner because she's against transgenders competing against women. She's came out and said that she's against it. So
and she was an athlete.
Yeah, and that makes me even more confused, man. That makes me even more confused about the situation. Yeah. And anybody that's listening, I don't mean to offend anybody. First of all, I don't need to be offended. Forgive me for my ignorance if I'm making the wrong comment or saying something wrong. I'm really want to gain knowledge on this though to get a better understanding.
So we're going to hear about this, specifically us, Montel, you and I, in this state relatively soon, talking about Jenner, because she has put her name in for the recall election against Governor Gavin Newsom. So this is going to come up in terms of a conversation, right? her stance on these types of activities and this type of participation. So I think we will get a definitive answer from someone who has been literally, quite frankly, on both sides of this conversation and is living in it, living through it, and we utilize her as an expert in this dialogue.
Yep,
that will spark more conversation. That'll spark more questions, and again, hopefully, that'll spark more conversations as well. Right? That's really all that we want to do. That's what we're trying to do. So, folks, educate yourself. We're going to educate ourselves as well. Keely, we thank you for your comments on that. We thank you. I see Sister Hicks in the building. Appreciate you for joining. Again, we love having the engagement and the interaction with folks. Man, I don't normally drink online, but I hold 1 second, man. God,
that's a heavy subject, man. That's a heavy, touchy subject we got, but it's good. It's good to have those conversations. I think, like you said, the best way we can get over it and educate ourselves is to talk about it. And please call me out on my ignorances because I need to learn just like everybody else. In these kind of situations. So let's just keep bringing it on, man.
The conversation was tasteful all the way around, so I actually applaud you for, I definitely applaud you, Montel, for even bringing it up. I mean, I've never ever had that conversation before, so that's a first for me, but now it's just making me even want to look into it and educate myself even more. So thanks. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, let's end on this last one. I saved this, and I didn't even bring it up to you guys, and it might be easy. I saw this story. It may have been on ESPN today, but I'm curious to know, what do you think is harder to accomplish and to win for a professional athlete? Is it winning a Super Bowl, or is it winning an NBA championship?
Ooh.
Which one do you think is more difficult, is harder to accomplish? We're gonna start with you, Andrew. Yeah, he's thinking hard too.
I would say it's harder to accomplish the Super Bowl, because of the length of the season. The length of the season. I feel like in the NBA, you have hundreds of games in the season, right? So you have tons of games in a season. There's a lot of adjustments that can be made. There's a lot of growth and adjustments that can be made, to me. And once you get to the playoffs, it's just so different. But now in the NFL, it's a much shorter season. The impact that happens. Now, I'm not going to take away from the NBA to say that they don't get as much injuries. Some of their injuries are just as bad. But, you look at the, how does the body stand up to all the blows that the NFL gets? I think it's definitely much harder to get to the Super Bowl. You only have so many teams and the way it's bracketed. So I'll stay firm on that one.
Okay. Brother Martell, talk to us.
Wow, man, that's a good question. And I'm going to say football is a much harder to win the Super Bowl. And I think the cohesiveness you have to have in football is completely different than basketball. Cohesive, you got to make sure you have 11 guys on one side of the ball, all in sync to be successful in order to make a successful play. In basketball, one person can take over a game in order for your team to be successful. A la LeBron, a la Jordan, all the great superstars can be that one person they can carry the team over. There's not one person that can carry a team to a Super Bowl. We could talk about Tom Brady all he wants, but Tom Brady can do nothing without that offensive line.
True.
That offensive line goes down, Tom Brady does not win. The 49ers cannot win all the Super Bowl.
Can't throw the ball to himself.
Can't throw the ball to himself. So,
and we know he can't run.
Yeah, so football is more of a team sport, and I think that's why you have 31 teams that are unsuccessful getting there or unsuccessful winning, because it's very hard to get everybody on the same page to keep doing everything and be very successful and get on board. Again, nothing to take away from basketball, but basketball, like I said, you can have that one dynamic player that can change the impact of the game by himself. Steph Curry's been doing it for the last 40 games, right? Putting up 40 just to keep them guys in the playoffs. There is nothing one person can do in the NFL that's going to do that. You can run for 2,000 yards, but you can't do it without an offensive line. You could throw the ball for 4,000 yards, but you can't do it without that receiver catching the ball. So it's much more difficult to get on that page in order to be successful and win it. But, man, basketball, my caveat, man, it's hard to win 4 out of 7 against anybody. Even when you play pickup games in the gym, it's like, damn, we got to be the 4.
You got to do all this running.
so props to football, man. I think it's very hard. I think, but I think, props to basketball. I think it's very hard to do that. But like I said, one guy can change the dynamic. There's no such thing as one guy in football can change it. They get the credit, but there's no one such thing as that dynamic of one player being able to change the whole thing, because you have to be all in sync as one in order to be successful.
That's true.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts in the NFL for sure.
Yeah.
I feel the same way, and I think Kevin Cox put the comment right, because the length of the career is so much shorter because the risk of injury is so much greater, right? When you got 300-pound grown men coming at you, and they can run fast, and they can hit hard, and they can control all of that weight, and they end up landing on your leg or landing on your arm, that could be career limiting. We've seen Theismann, we've seen Alex Smith, we've seen a lot of folks that have had major issues. We've got CTE, right? We've got a lot of things with injuries from the football perspective. But I also think that it's much more difficult. And no disrespect to any of the other sports, baseball, hockey, or anything like that. But I just brought these up just to have the conversation. I agree with you gentlemen as well that there's a lot of time in basketball. A lot of time, 100-some games, and then like you say, you can bring different players in. Everyone's a caliber. Even your boy, who was it, Shaq and the Fool? Who was your boy that we always was always laughing at? Jamarcus, not Jamar.
JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee, right? Because we was always making Shaq was always making fun of your boy JaVale, but he got a couple of rings though.
Yeah, he got some rings, man. But like you said, the dynamic of basketball is different because, like you said, Shaq can come in there and dominate the entire season and all the way through the playoffs to get you to a Super Bowl because he's so big and so dominant. Yeah. Michael Jordan can be so dominant as well, that they can't stop him. I don't care what Brady's doing. He can't do nothing without the other pieces. You can't. Will Chamberlain can score 100 points right in the game and be successful, and they can win and be everything else. I don't care what you do in football unless everybody else is on the same page doing something. It doesn't move. It doesn't move. So that's why I think it's more. That's why it's so much difficult. I believe that's why it's way more difficult.
No, we're definitely in agreement on that, folks. We're saying it as well. We see your brother JP. We see in your building. Appreciate you for jumping on. Love the support, but maybe we'll talk about football since football kind of won tonight. We'll plot it against field hockey. We'll plot it against baseball. We'll plot it against Olympic
soccer,
swimming, soccer. Now soccer is no joke, man. Soccer,
rugby's no joke.
That's hard. I've always wanted to play rugby, but I won't. I've always wanted to play hockey, but I won't play a game or go to a game without understanding the rules first, right? Because I can't be out there cheering for somebody when I don't know really what's going on. I start yelling icing when I go to a hockey game, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I just see everybody else do it. I'm drinking a beer and yelling offensive fouls or whatever. No.
And I'll be perfectly honest with both of you guys. I think golf is probably one of the hardest sports that doesn't get a lot of credit. Yeah. It does not get enough credit for being the way it is. I think it's tremendously difficult to play 70-some-odd holes or 80, whatever how many holes they play, and try to be successful and beat other people that do it.
It's a mental and it's a physical game all at the same time. Big time.
Yeah. That's something like that. And then, who can drive 500 miles per hour around a track for 3 hours in a row without giving it up?
That's very physical. You're right about it.
Some of these fools on the highway right now think they can.
But I'm saying I think we don't give enough credit to some sports that are just as difficult. Because if you ever try to drive a car. If you even try to drive a car like 120 miles, you start shaking and rattling and doing all these things. I can't imagine going around in a circle, for 3 hours driving 400 miles per hour and gotta avoid hitting anything. You know what I mean? So, I
golf
think
needs a way bigger goal. Just saying.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That's true.
So yeah, man. I think that'll be cool. Let's do the comparison of sports. I think that'll be kind of our 64, our NCAA pool kind of idea. Compare sports to sports.
That's true. My mom said, you got to twist your body too much. So she's not a fan of golf. That's true. You can't be twisting all that time, right? I love it. And brother Andrew Nixon, Man, let me tell you something. I'm gonna speak for myself, and then I'm gonna let Montel say we appreciate you, brother. This has been amazing. You didn't know
This
what
was a
you
treat.
didn't know
I didn't know what
was
to
in for.
expect, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys having me on and me just finding my place in this whole sports talk thing with you guys, man. It was great, and I really appreciate you, sharing with the world, a little bit about me and what I do, and just this time, man. It really is an honor to be on here with you guys, and you guys are great. And I got a new friend in Montel, man. Like, that's my dude now, man. So
definitely, we all family.
Yeah,
Definitely.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Man, definitely all family, man. Andrew, I appreciate you coming on, man. Like I said, I applaud you for what you do, like being entertaining in those games and giving that crowd what they need, and then also like sharing your perspective on things as well, and being able to give us that different lens. I always appreciate people giving us that different lens because I want to see how everybody's outcome or how they look at view lifting, so we can all come to a common ground, and it'll either agree or agree to disagree, whichever one it is. We can always talk about it and figure it out. So, man, I applaud you for coming on. Appreciate it. I like that hat you kicking. I'm going to have to get one of those.
Man.
That's kind of smooth. I'm about to go ahead and grab one of them bad boys.
Yes,
but otherwise, man, please, we need you to come back, man. Definitely come back and, share
anytime. It's not listen, you guys holler, let me know when, and I'm here.
Appreciate you, brother.
Anytime.
Gentlemen, y'all be good to yourself. Folks that were watching, folks that are listening, we thank you for your support. Continue to give us your criticism, give us your feedback. We're just trying to do better. We're just trying to bring you some things that enlighten, entertain, and educate. That's what it's all about here. Team No Sleep. This is the social impact of sports. We out, y'all.
Take care.